The palace wants to bury this secret, but Meghan won't let it go. The reason she is the most hated in the royal family. Meghan is getting what she has deserved this entire time. Meghan loves to stir up drama out of absolutely nothing. She rolls out her mama as her claim to the racism card, and then she turns around and trashes her own family. She trashes the royal family. She uses and loses people as much as she wants to, and she lies constantly. Why? Well, a simple answer would be because nothing is ever good enough for her. To understand this story a bit more, though, we need to rewind back to a long time ago when Charles and Diana were a couple of people who didn't have strong wills, and they allowed their respective families to browbeat them into a marriage that both of them really weren't comfortable about going ahead with. Now, Charles was told that he had to marry her or he needed to end the relationship, and Diana was told that it was way too late to back out because her face was already on the tea towels. The truth of the matter is, Charles wanted Camilla from the very beginning, but she was not appropriate for him, meaning that she was not an aristocrat, really, and she wasn't a virgin. Diana knew all about Camilla, and she allowed her instincts to be covered up. Neither actually had the nerve to end things before it did real damage, and the result of that is the complete disaster of a marriage and the mess that their second child has turned into. Camilla, though, paid a very hefty price for her involvement. I'm sure that she loved Charles, and I'm sure that she still does, because let's be honest, you would have to truly love somebody to put up with this mess for this long. And let's please move past this idea that anybody involved in this whole soap opera was saintly or hard done by. Each and every one of them played a game, and they had some wins, and they also had some pretty big losses. I'm sorry to say it, but there was no innocent party involved in any of this. Each and every one of them stepped out on the person they were married to, and the only reason that now we consider Diana to be such a saint is because she got in a car with a drunk man and she didn't wear her seatbelt, and so she became a martyr. If she had survived, I'm sure that she would have lived a life full of joys and also disappointments, because at the end of the day, Diana was a human being just like the rest of us. She has never been a saint. So at what point does Meghan Markle come into all of this? Well, we're supposed to just ignore Meghan and all her mistakes because other people made mistakes before as well? No. Only somebody with amnesia, or maybe somebody who doesn't read news from the UK, could possibly believe that the negative press that Meghan has gotten, or continues to get, is a lot worse than what Camilla had to put up with. I still remember what people were saying about Camilla after Diana passed away, and what is said about Meghan pales in comparison to the almost universal dislike of Camilla and what people were saying about her. Never once, though, did Camilla come out with this woe is me story of being the mistress and then the wife of Charles. See, Meghan Markle just doesn't know when to walk away and let things go. She and Harry just had to tell all of us the truth, but unfortunately, we have learned that what they say is a very twisted version of the truth based on their feelings and very few, if any, facts. Meghan Markle is a liar. Meghan Markle is a hypocrite. Meghan Markle is incredibly manipulative, too. Now, for sure, it's possible that Camilla is exactly the same, but I wouldn't have any idea about that because Camilla didn't feel like she had to publicly broadcast her problems. Camilla does not complain or explain, and as a result, it's pretty hard to really go after Camilla unless you're still going to hold it against her that she had an affair with Charles that turned into a marriage, or if you believe what Harry has said about her, even though he is proven to be a liar too. But with Meghan Markle, it's a lot easier because she has given us so many things from which to judge her character and her veracity. Now, maybe if Camilla was as dumb as Meghan to do that, then she would find herself in Meghan's position. But I respect Camilla a lot more for everything I don't know about her. The only thing this idiotic question is missing is, why is Meghan treated worse than Andrew? Because really, nobody treats Andrew better than Meghan. He is persona non grata at this point. He has been totally kicked out of public life, and he seems to be slowly accepting the fact that there is no way back for him. But Meghan wants and chases after a public life, and the public is going to talk about her and judge her every move. It goes along with the territory. But it can't be so upsetting to her because Meghan before has declared that she doesn't read any of the material in the media, whether it's negative or positive. It's about time to stop using other members of the royal family to try to deflect from questions and or judgments against Meghan. I mean, Meghan is just as relentless as the media. It turns out both of them tend to lie and exaggerate. Meghan just doesn't like that she can't control the narrative, and her negative coverage is simply not limited to the tabloid media in the UK. It is all over the world now. Meghan is the only person involved that I really judge harshly. The other people were simply human, and they have their flaws, they have their weaknesses. I understand that. I do too. And it's not like Charles just woke up one day and decided to be king. That was his destiny his entire life. And Charles has had to bear the burden of the monarchy, including some of its less humane rules that really put him in a difficult position. And Diana's position was no easier. Diana was only a 19-year-old girl, and she didn't have anybody there to wisely advise her. Neither Charles nor Diana was raised in responsive, child-focused homes, and neither of them really understood what normal family life was like. As for Camilla, I have no idea. For whatever reason, even though he still loved her, Charles went into the Royal Navy without proposing to her. Now, Camilla got the message, and so she married somebody else. She, I guess, thought that Charles probably had a change of heart. And in spite of the problems, Camilla and Charles were still in love. And of course, that was painful for Diana. It had to hurt her, of course it did. Now, a divorce for a future queen was a very complicated matter. A lot more complicated than it would be for the rest of us. Neither Charles nor Camilla had any right to engage each other. They lost those rights when they decided to make their wedding vows with other people. But at the same time, neither Charles nor Camilla nor Diana went on these malicious campaigns to try to destroy each other. It didn't matter how confused they were, how hurt, how disappointed, how much they felt betrayed. None of the three of them was vindictive or ruthless. None of the three of them were obsessed with demolishing the others. They made very understandable human mistakes, ones that could have been avoided, but at the same time, they were so human. But Meghan's a whole different story. Meghan has been incredibly cruel. She has been relentless. She's a lying sociopath. She came from actually a pretty ordinary home, and she had a father who gave her the best he could. He was so loving towards her, and he gave her so many opportunities. And how did she repay him? Well, with a big slap in the face, with hatred, spite, betrayal. Meghan doesn't love anybody or anything. I don't even think she loves herself. If she really loved herself, I don't think that she would have had so many cosmetic surgeries, so many makeovers. I don't think that she would spend so much money on clothes that don't even fit her right. And also all these contracts with branding agencies testify to her rampant rejection of herself. Meghan cannot stand taking pride in her kids if they're real. I cannot think of one redeeming act that Meghan has performed or any redeeming characteristics of her. Nothing is sacred to Meghan Markle. She's an evil, sick, disturbed person. And Meghan has never been able to understand how the royal family functions, and that most of what it does is actually very dull. Meghan tried to pull in these Hollywood values into the royal family, not understanding that, if anything, it's the exact opposite of Hollywood. And then what was her reaction? Well, she decided to go on a talk show and complain and go after newspapers filing lawsuits when the royal family's way is to never complain and never explain. I don't believe for a second that Charles or the rest of his family were cruel to Diana. It was a marriage that was breaking down, which is never anything pleasant. But even nastier when under the spotlight of the media, to be fair. Now, of course, Diana resorted to strategic leaks to the media, and she said she needed to do that because she was trying to balance the power of the royal family. But anyway, that is why things got so ugly. Indirect fighting through proxies, especially such distorting ones as modern media, is never going to be pretty. As in the overwhelming majority of marital breakdowns, there were wrongs on both sides of the equation. But I do not believe that it was really any worse than your typical divorce. And you, what do you think about Meghan Markle's dirty plot? Please tell me your opinion below in the comments. If you think my video is helpful, don't be afraid to like and share it with your friends and relatives who would enjoy it anytime you want. And don't be afraid to click the subscribe button to get more updates in the future. Thank you so much for tuning in, have a lovely weekend, and we'll be back to see you all tomorrow.